Hello, friends. I'm Michelle Fosnot, and welcome to Plant the Change Straight Talk, empowering the next generation to grow into compassionate, conscious citizens of the world. Today's episode is all about math, and not just any math, the kind of math that's being forced on every high school student, regardless of their future goals, strengths, or needs. If you're good at math, enjoy math, or are pursuing a career that requires math, amazing. Algebra 2 and beyond might be a perfect fit for you. But today, I'm talking about millions of bright, creative, capable kids who struggle with math, and they're punished for it every day. In many states, students must pass Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and one higher level math class to earn a standard diploma. That's right, we're mandating advanced math to graduate, regardless of a student's strengths, career goals, or real-world needs. Let me be clear from the start. If you're strong in math, if you're planning a career that relies on it, or if you enjoy higher-level math, great. This episode isn't about you. This is about the kids who don't connect with math. Bright students, yes. Hard workers, yes. Deep thinkers, yes. But they just don't process math the way it's being taught or at the pace it's required. And for them, these requirements feel like punishment. So why we're talking about this? I run a school, and I've seen it over and over and over again. Students who are otherwise thriving academically and emotionally, held back by one thing, a math requirement that doesn't align with who they are. They're told their diploma, the culmination of 12 years of effort and time, depends on passing a class they may never use and can't seem to grasp, while their actual talents often go unrecognized. And that's a problem. A 2013 study found that math anxiety and repeated failure in math courses are linked to long-term academic disengagement. In fact, a National Center for Education Statistics report found that failing Algebra 1 is one of the biggest predictors of not graduating on time. We're not just talking about struggling in school, we're talking about the emotional and psychological toll. These students aren't just failing math, they're starting to feel like they're failures. A study by the National Center for Education Statistics shows that only 37% of high school seniors score at or above a proficient level in math. That means the majority of students are struggling. Yet, we still require that every student clear the same math hurdles to graduate, no matter how disconnected those hurdles are from their future paths. And let's talk about college for a minute, because that's the argument, right? They'll need it for college. But guess what? Most college-bound students take math again in college anyway. In fact, if they choose a major that requires it, they'll start at that level, whether or not they passed it in high school. So we're putting students through emotional warfare over Algebra 2 in high school, only to make them retake it in college again. And here's another piece. 70% of community college students end up having to retake developmental math, even after passing high school math. So clearly, the system isn't working. We're making students repeat content they didn't understand the first time instead of addressing how we teach math and why. Let's get real about the world we live in. I used to tell students, that they needed to learn math because you don't have a calculator in your pocket. You'll need this math to buy carpet, to do taxes, to calculate sales and discounts. But as we know, we all have calculators in our pockets now. AI tools like Photomath and ChatGPT can solve and explain complex problems just by scanning them. Architects, engineers, even accountants now rely on software, not scratch paper. We are living in a world where AI is completing calculations way faster than we can write them down. Jobs that once relied on math by hand now rely on apps. The ability to problem solve, think critically, and adapt matters more than memorizing formulas. So let's stop pretending otherwise, because the goal of education is not to force everyone through the same door, but to build a house with many doors, many rooms, and many futures. It isn't that math isn't important, it's that the kind of math and how we teach it needs to evolve. When we hold students to outdated, rigid requirements, we don't build resilience, we crush it. We make otherwise bright, passionate students feel like they're not smart. We turn school into something to survive rather than something to enjoy. We block their paths forward over content they may never, ever use, and could relearn better if they ever do need it later. This isn't a push for lower standards. It's a push for realistic, relevant, and student-centered education.
Hi, friends. Your support can help make the difference by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the Plant the Change podcast. You can also visit us at solidrockflorida.org to learn more about Solid Rock Community School and the Sanctuary at Solid Rock. Your support makes a real impact, and it helps plant the change.
Let me share something with you from the hiring side. When we interview teachers, we don't just look at resumes and degrees. We actually give them a practical math test to see how far they can go. And the truth is, most of them, they can't get past algebra. In fact, many of them will only get to the 5th grade level. Even applicants who call themselves mathematicians, I've even had mathematicians and math teachers sneak out of the interview when they found out we were going to test their skills. Having a degree doesn't mean you can teach real kids, and it doesn't mean you can actually understand math. So why are we demanding mastery from struggling students in courses that even some teachers can't handle? Now, imagine you're 15 or 16. You're a creative. You write poetry, you fix cars, you love animals. You're kind, and you show up. You pass every class except Algebra 2. Now you're labeled. You're offered a special diploma that can limit your future, not because you didn't try, but because you didn't pass a class most adults never use. That's not education, that's exclusion. We should be asking, what skills does this student need to function, to thrive, and to contribute to society in their own way? I'm not saying eliminate math. I'm saying let students use all 4 years of high school to make real gains at their own pace in real-life applications. Let's teach them financial literacy, budgeting, taxes, credit cards, loans, home ownership math, entrepreneurship math, tip calculation, percentages, investing, real-world problems. That's the math everybody needs, and it builds confidence. If a student then chooses a career path that requires higher level math, they're going to take those classes in college when they're ready, when it's relevant and when instruction is hopefully better. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't the student, it's us. We've bought into the lie that rigor equals repetition of content. That's standardized equals successful. But the truth is, standardization is strangling some of our brightest, most compassionate, most capable kids. We need to stop treating math class as the hill students must die on to prove they're worthy of a diploma. If you're wondering what this could actually look like in practice, how schools could shift to meet students where they are, let me show you what we do at our school in 2025. So we've looked at the past. We've studied our data, and we've asked the most important question: where is the world going, and how do we prepare students for that? That's what led us to completely rethink how we teach math. We use a station rotation model that meets the needs of all learners, not just the ones who already get it. And here's how it works. So one station includes direct instruction of the grade level curriculum taught in small groups with support and structure. Another station includes whole class content that's relevant and applicable to all students, like financial literacy, for example. A third station uses adaptive technology, allowing students to work on foundational concepts and fill their individual learning gaps. And then another station is dedicated to math games, a powerful way to build fluency, reduce anxiety, and foster critical thinking in a low-pressure environment. We created this approach to meet every student where they are, whether they're catching up, keeping pace, or ready for the next challenge. And the beauty of it, it's flexible. Depending on the class duration, we can run off 4 stations in a block schedule or split them across multiple days. Some classes focus more heavily on core instruction one day and enrichment the next. It's not rigid, it's responsive. In a perfect world, we'd spend all of our time zeroed in on closing gaps and building real math confidence. But because we still have to meet state diploma requirements, this model allows us to comply without compromising. We aren't just teaching math, we're teaching students. And we're doing it in a way that keeps them engaged, supported, and growing. And the results? Confidence, progress, hope. Because students who used to feel defeated by math now feel like they have a shot. Let's step back for a moment. This conversation isn't just about math. It's about what kind of learners we want to raise and what kind of world we're preparing them for. To the teachers, you're on the front lines. You're on the front lines of a system that hasn't caught up. But you can make change, even inside the constraints. Look at your students, not the policy, not the pacing guide, your students, the ones who need scaffolding, who need a second chance, who is quietly giving up because they believe they're not a math kid. You have the power to shift that, whether it's through games, station rotations, personalized learning, or just rethinking what mastery really looks like. You're not just teaching math. You're building confidence, agency, and possibility. To the parents, if your child's school won't shift, don't wait. You don't need to recreate the classroom at home, but you can create experiences that build real-world math fluency and problem solving. Math isn't just in the textbook. It's in life. It's in card games, in cooking, in puzzles, in budgeting, in creating. Your goal isn't to reteach the system. It's to help your child see themselves as capable, even if school hasn't shown them that yet. Remember, I am not saying students don't need high school level math. I'm saying students need the right kind of math at the right time and the freedom to grow without shame. Let's stop trying to create one size fits all. Let's start cultivating problem solvers, critical thinkers, and humans who are capable in a world where everything else is changing. And let's never forget, confidence in learning doesn't come from passing a test. It comes from not giving up. Math isn't just a subject, it's a journey. And we owe our students a better path forward. Thanks for listening. I'm Michelle Fosnot, and this is Plant the Change. See you next time.
The Plant the Change podcast explores how education drives societal transformation, nurtures compassionate and responsible citizens, and plants the seeds of change for a better tomorrow. At Solid Rock, Florida, we're a nonprofit committed to compassionate, humane education, an approach that blends academic excellence, ethical responsibility, and emotional growth. You can help make a difference by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the Plant the Change podcast. You can also visit us at solidrockflorida.org to learn more about Solid Rock Community School and Sanctuary at Solid Rock. Your support makes a real impact and helps plant the change. Together, we can redefine the future of education and create a world guided by compassion and ethical responsibility. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep making a difference.